Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another IVCC Living Room Stage live event with a very special guest tonight that I know you're all looking forward to. Before we begin tonight, though, next week we got a very interesting show that I think you're going to like. Thousands of people saw our production of Mamma Mia, spring of 2019, and many more would like to see it again. We'll see what we can do about that. But next week, I have Melanie Maskell, Debbie Torrey, Kelly Johnson. I have Mark Nowakowski, Ron McCutcheon, and myself representing the three dads and the three moms, plus Sophie. It's a Mamma Mia family reunion with all the dads and technically the three moms. So make sure you tune in then. All of our videos, we want to remind you, are here on our YouTube channel. You can go back. Actually, last week we had a great show. We had a virtual variety show with some of your favorite performers from the stage. That did a great job. We had a great chat and covered a lot of ground with them. So you can revisit any of those videos. I've had terrific guests for the last 13, 14 weeks here, including Howard Johnson, Monty Python connection and improv and everything else, and Eric Chambliss, who's been on tour with Jersey Boys for so long, as well as some local people from the arts. So make sure you keep tuning in every Sunday night at 7:30. And if you can't, make sure you watch them online afterwards. We appreciate that. My guest tonight comes to us from, well, Nashville tonight, but he's originally from the Ottawa area where he attended high school. Excuse me, my sinuses, not COVID, okay? Where he attended Ottawa High, and very active guy. And then came to IVCC for a while before he went to Southern to get his degree, and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, local boy makes good. Please welcome my guest for tonight, Walt Willey, star of All My Children. Walt, you there?
I am here. Blah blah blah. I like that intro. I like an intro with a lot of blah blah blah.
I know.
How are you tonight? All right.
It was eloquent, wasn't it?
It was eloquent, and eloquent. I might add touching. So yes,
good.
Good to be here.
How you doing, sir?
I'm well, thankfully. Been ensconced in my place in Nashville for about 6 months now. No, I guess since about March 15th. Just bringing food up on a pulley from outside and hanging in like everybody else.
I know it's been a rough one, but how's Nashville reacting to this? Do you have a mask implement in, or?
Oh yeah, no, we're lucky here. It's a red state, but the county of Davidson, where Nashville is controlled by its own health department, and they've been listening a little more to science. And so we've had we have a mask thing in place, and we kind of went backwards here a few weeks ago, back into a kind of a modified phase 2. I don't care what anybody's telling me. I'll go out when I'm ready, and I'm not ready. So
I know. I know, me too. People say, "Oh, you're living in fear." It's like, no, I'm living with caution here. But
What did I read the other day? If you're worried about putting a mask on because it will slow the oxygen to your brain, chances are that ship has sailed. So,
no kidding.
Yeah.
I'm a firm. Although I have spent an awful lot of money trying different masks, because all respect to the healthcare workers out there, I hate the thing behind your ear. I can't even wear glasses that wrap around. I get really sore back there. So I keep ordering these different types of masks, and I think I'm probably close to $200 in. I finally got one with the Velcro and the changeable valves and that whole bit. I look like I could probably deep sea dive in it, but
I just went out and bought a Darth Vader mask and just taped some cotton. So I'm everybody's father, Luke, so it worked out well.
Well, Halloween ought to be interesting this year.
It always is. It always is.
Easier. And of all years, it's on a Saturday and a full moon.
I know, and it's not going to be much of a Halloween, I'm afraid. So, although I'll be more scared to go out than I ever have been this quarter.
We'll throw the candy from the house, I think. All right, Walt.
Yeah. And the beads. Don't forget the beads. That's something else. Sorry,
They gave us a break.
Had a New Orleans moment there. Sorry.
The dust cloud from Egypt that I expected to have the mummy's face in it, that kind of didn't amount to a whole lot. And the killer bees or the murder hornets, right? You're talking about the murder hornets.
Yes.
I think they decided they'll come back when we're less busy, and they can get more press.
We have a meteor a comet in the sky too. That always always bodes something ill. So I'm sure that and then we've got we're all already on letter P, I think, for hurricanes here in
Yeah.
July. So I'm sure it'll be horrible.
Yeah. Well,
2020 is just kind of a lost year. Let's just
I
all
know.
get together and say, we're either going to have a do-over for 2020, or we're going to pretend
could
it
we?
never existed. I'm going to remain the age I am, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna,
That's a good bonus if we can have 2020 back.
It is a good bonus. Absolutely.
I'm glad you're always good for stuff like that. I can always get great ideas. Walt, you went from SIU, where you appeared in a whole bunch of shows. You told me I don't think I knew this, or maybe I did, but you said you went to SIU as a sculpture major, right?
Yes, I was a fine arts major. It wasn't until I went back to school so that I could qualify for a stipend for the summer shows that I did anything in theater at all. I was actually working for the Daily Egyptian, which was the school newspaper down there. I was doing page makeup. And back in the days where you waxed the pages to put them down, it wasn't computerized at all.
I know. With the roller.
Back in the old days. And a roller, that's right. An X-Acto knife and a roller is what you used to put together the paper in those days. And I laid down an article about they were having auditions for Frankenstein in the Lab Theater. And I thought, wow, I've always been a horror film fan. I thought, wouldn't it be so much fun to play Dr. Frankenstein? Well, I ended up playing the creature. And Darwin Payne, who was one of Tennessee Williams' lovers in the old days, directed that. And he was a very accomplished interior designer, set designer, and we did it in the lab in 3 quarters. So it was really intense, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was asked by other directors for the rest of that year to do, let's see, I did Christian in Cyrano. I did Walter Langer and Five Finger Exercise. I did the Illustrated Man, Mr. Dark, the Illustrated Man in Something Wicked This Way Comes. I did all those, and another
show
too.
Show. We did
that
at
the Baltic
IVCC.
Theater Foundation.
We did Something Wicked at IV.
Yeah,
a couple of years ago.
They were. Yeah, well, this was readers' theater, so you got to actually read the stage directions as you walk out. Marion Kleinow directed that. My memory gets worse as the time gets closer, but I do remember Marion Kleinow. And then I was done in school. And years later, I got a call from a person who had been a student when I was a student, who is now tenured faculty there. That much time had passed. Saying that they were doing The Passion of Dracula, which is what ran off Broadway when Langella's Dracula was running on Broadway, and they were looking for a Dracula. And I thought, wow, I got to play the creature in Frankenstein. Wouldn't it be so much fun to play Dracula? I read for it, and I got it. And I did that show, and then like 4 shows during the course of the year, and then the next year's summer company. And that was, I think that takes us up to about 1980 or 81, I guess. And then moved to New York, and I think in 81 or 2. And then did a bunch of industrials and commercials and stuff like that. And then in 85, I got my first daytime contract with Ving Rhames, playing hitman for Cecile, the Queen of Tankir, on Another World on NBC. And great story. Ving, who Ving Rhames is, right? Big, intimidating black man. You saw him in Fiction. I think he was one that I'm gonna get medieval on your ass. Big name. He's Mission Impossible. So they hired us to play hitmen, and the first thing we had to do was fly to St. Thomas, which is not a bad gig, and scuba dive. And Ving's like, "Yeah, I swim," and I said, "Great! I've been a scuba diver since I'm 18 years old. Let's go." And we got there, and all of a sudden, Ving's like, "Look at me. Do I look like I swim?" "You don't swim?" He said, "No, I don't swim." I said, "Oh, great." So I had to, and I blew my back out in a very dramatic way there. Just really had a hard time, projectile vomiting and everything. It was a real neurological shock. But I had to do all the diving. So here I am about 10 Percocet in. So I could actually do anything. My left leg is totally limp. I can't hardly walk, and I'm doing this diving down in St. Thomas, and I've hated Ving Rhames since, because he was supposed to do I had like 3 days underwater. It was great. It was great, and for a first contract, what a great way to start.
Well, yeah, and Percodan, we call those perks in the industry. All right, now you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, nothing I'd like to revisit, however.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, well, you do a little off Broadway, right?
I did off Broadway. I did
Off.
off. I did some restoration comedy off Broadway.
Hmm.
I did a show called Dust Off with Dan Lauria, who most of you know
Okay.
from the Wonder Years. He was the dad
Right.
of the Wonder Years, and introduced me to Mary Jo Slater, Christian's mom, who was the casting director for One Life to Live. So I did a lot of background work on there, and I think I played. You know who Terrence Mann is? Terrence Mann
sure.
was the
It is.
Terrence Terry's a good friend of mine, and he has a great quote which I want to share now. I believe in it 100%. He says, "Movies will make you famous, television will make you rich, but theater makes you good." And,
I like that.
yeah, and I like that too. I'm just talking to my son Chance, who's an actor as well,
Yeah.
about that, saying, yeah, he just did a film. And he's quite good in it. And I said, and all that stuff you learned on stage, doesn't it seem so easy to do a film now? You just do less, and there you are. And so. But Terrence he owned a bar of some kind on One Life to Live, I think, in between his Broadway gigs. And I was his bartender there for a while. So, it really was true in those days in New York. I mean, in those days in New York, there were 8 or 9 or 10 soaps being produced there. I did Edge of Night, which is long since gone. The Doctors, and all these other shows that were there then. Of course, there's none in New York now. There's only 4 in Los Angeles.
I'm going to ask you something. Had you ever even seen a soap before you were cast on one?
I remember at SIU in '73, and there were I don't remember what was going on. I think it was peace talks in Vietnam or something, and something it was the whole Nixon thing was going on and stuff, as I recall. And I was walking through the student union and saw this big crowd in the TV lounge area there, and I kind of pushed my way to the front to see what they were watching. And as I recall, it was Tony Geary, and it was what were the very famous characters on General Hospital, Luke and Laura. It was something to do with Luke and Laura, I think. And I thought, what in the hell are these people watching?
But you know what?
But my mother didn't watch soaps.
No, mine neither.
So I really didn't, but I knew it was one of the good jobs to get in New York, kind of a blue collar job in terms of you're in there, if you're working a lot, you're in there 5 days a week.
Well, yeah.
Or as they say in Bull Durham, you get to go to the ballpark every day and get paid for it. And so that was, and made a hell of a lot more than you did in theater. So,
well, yeah, of course. I will co-sign what you said about Southern University, because that's where Dr. Keister, David, my partner, you remember him?
Sure, of course.
That's where he got his doctorate in playwriting. And he said that at SIU, that I think he was there in '84 or whatever, but at Southern, for some reason, everybody watched soaps between classes. So he was really up on the soaps, but my mom didn't watch them. I think my grandmother might have. She called them her stories. Didn't you?
Yes. Well, and they're often multi-generational. I mean, I remember people. I think people had a very kind of a close emotional tie with these things, because there were memories of their grandmother babysitting for them. Stuff like I ran into tons of people who said that they actually learned English, watching a soap.
Wow.
And God knows we repeated stuff enough to catch on to what the words meant pretty quickly, I would guess. A lot of exposition over and over.
You struck gold by winding up on All My Children.
Yeah. I did Ryan's Hope first in '86. I was the 4th incarnation of Joe Novak. I don't know if you have any shots of that. Followed the guy who followed Roscoe Bourne. Yeah, there I am. I'm 12. With Carell Myers was her name. She was the recast. Mark Helgenberger had left the show, and they cast a new Siobhan. And yeah, I was 12 and playing
Yeah, I
12
see
and about
that.
178 pounds soaking wet, playing Joe Novak. And yeah, it was 6 months into it, got fired, got let go, both of us. The guy who was playing our arch nemesis, Max de Bujak, actor by the name of Daniel Pilon, Canadian guy, decided he'd had enough. I was going back to Canada to fly his plane, etc.
So let me get this straight. So you were the fourth incarnation of a character,
Yes,
and you're
yes,
what killed him off.
which is deadly to start with. Yeah. No, I don't think I was actually killed off. I was fired, which is different. I think they married us and sent us off happily. I don't even really remember the truth, but I can remember then I was over at All My Children, which I mean I had been at All My Children a bunch across the years doing under 5 and day player stuff. And I was playing a cop. I was playing a detective. And I had a phone call in a phone booth. That's how old this is to do. And I was doing the dress rehearsal for it. And Rusty Swope, the stage manager, whom I worked with for 40 years, I guess, all told, or at least 30 years, tapped me and said, "Listen, we get you. You can't do this. They don't want you doing this." I said, "Why?" I said, "We don't know, but they don't." So they gave it to Tony Mazie, I believe is his name, a Broadway actor who was playing like my boss cop. And he said, "I can't." It was like through 2 pages. It was all on that side. So he quickly wrote the stuff down in the phone booth, and did it. But come to find out, they had wanted me to go to Ryan's Hope at that point in time, and I didn't know it. I didn't know it at that point, but that's kind of how I heard I was going to be playing Joe Novak. No, you can't be doing this. And then next week start shooting on Ryan's Hope.
Okay.
So yeah, and so I got pulled from that. And that's how I kind of knew that. So that was 86. I think I was on it for I don't know 6 months, maybe a little longer. Honestly, I don't recall. And then I ended up before I started on Children, I was working for a guy by the name of Bo Dietl, who's a fairly famous, you probably heard of him. He's a producer now. He was in Goodfellas. He's the cop at the end that arrests Ray Liotta. A very famous cop in Manhattan. He was a gold shield that broke the case where these people had broken into a church in East Harlem and carved up a nun and like that. So he made his bones doing that, and then became a private investigator. And I worked for him for a short time in between those two. And that was an interesting job. That was interesting. Yeah.
So at what point did you go back to All My Children and take on the part of Jackson?
I never auditioned for it, and I don't think that anybody else did either. I was auditioning for a show called, and I forgot to even look for pictures of this. Chad, if you're there, it might be time to start seeing if you can find something called Our Group.
Messaging him. Yeah.
Our Group, it's called. That's not it, but that's okay because that's a
Cover Boy. 1987 we got on this.
Yeah, that's the first year on All My Children. Yeah, that's the first year. Wow. But I was in auditioning for a show called Naked in Bed with
How many times were you faux naked on it or shirtless?
I was always naked, and Susan also insisted on being really naked. So there was no faux naked there. I'm not wearing bikini top or anything like that. No. But so I was auditioning for this thing called Our Group, which was about a therapy group. And called my agent and just to check in, see what was going on. And she said, "Well, it's Jackson Montgomery." And I said, "Jackson? No, this is Walt, honey." Her name was Honey Rader, great agent. And she said, "No, you're Jackson Montgomery." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, they'd like you to come over to Children, play and give you a contract and play this guy named Jackson Montgomery." And that was great news. And so, of course, I didn't care about this silly Our Group thing. Went in, aced the audition, and ended up booking that, which was great because I had about 6 or 9 weeks work on that show before I needed to start on All My Children. So it was kind of a great tune-up fight.
Yeah. Chad just messaged me. We don't have any pictures of our group.
No, because I totally forgot I did it. I didn't look for any.
That's all right.
Sorry about that. Come on, Chad, get online now. Get online now.
Whoops. Don't want to find your. We don't want him doing that. He might find your sex tape. You never know.
Yeah. Well, if you find that, let me know. I'd like to know. I at least could do one at one point. Yeah, and the funny thing about our group was it wasn't a great show, but it was on. I think it was on Lifetime.
Oh,
which ABC's part owner of, or was then at least.
And what year are we looking at here?
Gosh, that had to be 86. That had to be because I started Children in fall of 87. So that was probably early 87 that I did that. And I played a Republican speechwriter for some big congressman, I think. And I was gay and in the closet and came out in the course of my therapy, of course, in the course of my group therapy. I'd actually like to go back and see that again. I guess it was pretty good because, like I said, I never auditioned for Jack, and I don't think anybody else did. I was told that Megan McTavish, who was the head writer at that time, of course, Agnes Dixon, the creator of All My Children, but Megan McTavish was the head writer, and she always maintained that she thought of me in the bathroom. I don't know what she was doing in the bathroom. I'd like to think it was no more than number one, but maybe number two. I don't know. But decided that Travis Montgomery needed a brother. And I guess she knew my work either from Ryan's Hope or from being around All My Children, because I was Palmer's limo driver. I was Adam's jet pilot. I was the maitre d' at the Chalet, I think it was called, the restaurant there where Candy Early sang all the time. I was John the Yard Man. I did a bunch of things, a bunch of day player stuff. I think they were just sick of looking at me and said, let's give him something so we can get him on contract, fire him, and never have him back. Didn't work out that way.
How many years were you with that show?
Just about 25. Just
yeah.
about a quarter of a century of All My Children.
You were there,
I was fired in July of, I think, 2009. We had somebody new at the helm there who was trying to make changes that just,
But it was also during the time when soap operas were starting to struggle, right?
Yeah. I mean, they started to struggle prior to that. I mean, we moved out to Los Angeles in 2009, I guess. I wasn't with the show when they did the move. I started there right when they got there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was still one of the most recorded shows, but that doesn't count because the advertisers know you fast forward through all the ads, and so it doesn't really count if you record it. So revenue began to fall because it's all about revenue. And when you consider All My Children had about a $40 million a year budget, and the Chew they could make for $4 million a year were the numbers that I heard often. I think they could have done something else. It went online like a year and a half later. It was supposed to go online a couple of months after it went off television. It was supposed to go online. But the company that did that, they kind of mucked about with that for a while, and they didn't use the downtime to instruct people on how to go on a thing called Hulu, a brand new thing in those days, and see it. And of course, our core audience, they were, about our age, Don, and they
were older.
Hulu, what the hell? I can barely write an email. And
I was going to say that's an older demo. That's not great.
Yeah, no, that's not the demo. Well, now it is. I mean, everybody streams now, but in those days, that was a little bit scary. I think for a lot of folks, and they didn't do much in the way of education, and so it failed pretty bad. I was supposed to do the second season of it, but it had already folded by that time. So.
How sick are you talking about soap operas? Every interview has to cover the same ground. Come on,
it's
nothing new to me. Nothing new.
It was a great gig. I mean, I know, but I think no actor expects to spend their entire career playing one character. It's not why we do what we do, which is why it was, so nice then after it folded to get back on stage and play a bunch of different characters.
Right.
And then on film and for television, playing different things and things very different from Jack,
Right.
And
I think now Jack was a lawyer. Is that right?
Jack was a lawyer. Yes, he was a lawyer. He was the DA.
So you played a lawyer and a speechwriter and all those. Was there anything even remotely like you that was Jack Montgomery's character?
Well, Don,
Anything?
I think
Or did
all
you?
actors, build a character from parts of them.
Yeah,
I think you magnify some parts and dampen down other parts.
yeah.
I learned a lot about being a good person from Jack. I think
Oh, he was
I
a good
think
lawyer. He was a good
yeah,
guy.
he was. So it was a soap, right? He was a good
Yeah,
lawyer. Like those things exist in real life.
I don't.
No, he was a white knight. Jack was. I think people would
Well,
agree that he was a white knight. He was a very good
let's
man.
take a look at some of these pictures we got because we
Sure.
got lots of ground to cover tonight. Chad,
You
let's
better
put.
use every one of those pictures that I had to find to send you. I want to see every one of those up on the screen.
You think we can't? We got 90 minutes, man.
Oh, brother.
All
A lot
right,
of
we're
stuff.
gonna go back to I think all my children. Oh yeah, there we go on the cover. You and Susan Lucci,
La Luch. Yep.
La Luch. Yeah. What do we got next there, Chad? Oh,
Yeah,
the
in
bed
bed with
shot.
La Luch. Yeah.
Bedroom. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we're zooming in to make sure you're wearing something.
Of course, that's
Right.
Michael B. Jordan, who
Okay.
played my son, Reggie. He was Jack was prosecuting this character, and I can't remember that character's name. Darn it. He went on and he did. I know I've seen him. I saw him on House of Cards. He was on there for a while. I can't remember the young man. Not young man. He's probably 50 years old now. Can't remember his name or his character's name, but Reggie was his son, and I was going to prosecute this guy, but I knew if I prosecuted him, this wonderful kid, Reggie, would end up back in an orphanage or some such horrible thing. And so I adopted him. And great storyline. Loved that storyline. What a great young man. He was wonderful to work with. And we got to be very close because he lived in Newark. I lived in Jersey City, just across the Hudson from Manhattan at the time. And so his mom would drop him at the donut place, and I picked him up from there. So she didn't have to go into Manhattan. She didn't want him riding the trains alone. He was maybe, I don't know, 15, 16 at the time. And so we'd ride into work, and, I'd usually wait for him or he for me. And then I drop him back. So we got to be very close.
Well, that's always cool when you can be friends with.
Yeah. No, it was nice. So, and that relationship, I believe, I've been told, showed up on screen, and we had some really good scenes. He was great to work with, and deserves everything he's gotten. I mean, he really, really. I mean, he was a hardworking, good kid. I can remember talking to him when he first moved out to Los Angeles after they let him go. Yeah, why they did, I'd like to think is because they wanted him to go on and do all the wonderful things he was going to do. But it probably wasn't part of the decision at all. But I was talking to him. We talk once in a while, not often, but once in a while. And the first thing he did was he got his mom's out there. He moved her in to Los Angeles, which was very smart. He was a young man, and they were very close, and got her out there. And that was just a very smart thing for a young man to do. And he did.
Okay. I forgot to mention at the top of the show, if you've got comments for Walt, questions, put them in the live chat that's happening now on our YouTube page. And
what are you eating, Don? What are you eating? What are
cough
you
drops.
In your mouth?
I'm eating cough drop because
I hear it clicking.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll do it quieter.
Click it. Who cares? Click it.
I know. We today, I don't know the weather, the changes. I always get this sinus thing going on. And yeah, we ran out for something today, and I had my mask on. I had a coughing effect. Talk about knowing how to clear a room. That's the way to do it.
Yes, that's the way to have everything to yourself. Just go in there and cough without your mask on.
Okay, we kind of lost track of each other for a while. I remember. I know your memory is getting is. It
is what it is, Don.
We share the memory thing, but I remember the night we hooked up. You not hooked up.
Yeah, let's be a little careful here now. Yeah. Let's be a little careful. I have had to dispel rumors for years. Let's not kick them back.
Yeah, for the record, Walt and I have never hooked up.
We've hooked up with the same person, but not together. Yes. You see, there's always more to the story. More to the story here on IVCC Fine Arts YouTube.
He's not kidding. That's our late night topic. Yeah. In Evansville, Indiana, and I want to say 99, 98, 99, somewhere around there. I was headlining at a casino showroom at that big casino they had there. And the owner of the showroom I was working at also owned a Funny Bone or one of the outlets. And I was with him. He took me to lunch one day. And he goes, "Hey, do you mind if we make a stop?" And I said, "Sure, of course not." So we pulled over to a t-shirt shop. And excuse me. And he came out with this big box of black t-shirts that said, "I spent the night with Walt." And I said, "What the hell
Spent the
does
night
that
with
mean?"
Walt Willey, and all I could do was laugh.
Yeah.
That's what the T-shirt said.
So
Too true for me to enjoy, but people seem to like them. Yeah.
all I saw was, I spent the night with Walt or whatever it was. I said, "What the hell
Yes.
is that?" And he goes, "My comic right now used to be on a soap opera." And I said, "Walt Willey?" And he goes, "Do you know him?" I said, "Hell yeah." And he said, "After your show,
Not a lot of comics coming out of the soap world, so chances are your guess would
no
have been
kidding.
made. You know.
So yeah, by process of elimination. So I drove over and caught the last part of your show because mine lasted till like midnight, and you were doing a late night set, and we kind of caught up with each other that night. There you are.
There I am. That's I think Side Splinters at Tampa. I think one of the clubs I go to about once a year. Yeah, you know the comedy thing I started in '91.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do it. I mean, I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and you know, not very many people get to start as a headliner, and I think it'd be fair to say I probably shouldn't have started as a headliner. A rough couple of first years, but that's okay, you know. But you know, with the strength of all my children behind me, I started that 90-91 was the first tour, as I recall.
Okay.
And, you know, I played all the big rooms. I mean, Catch a Rising Star at that time downtown when Rosie O'Donnell was hosting the open mic night. She was a struggling comic in those days, and she knew me from Ryan's Hope. So she was a big fan of ABC soap. So I always got to get up when Rosie was there. But you know, played Caroline's and God, I mean, really all the big rooms, all 3 or 4 rooms, Zanies up in Chicago, and you know,
Did you ever play
Funny Bones all over the place, and it was.
I think this guy in Evansville owned a Funny Bone.
Yeah.
What was it? The resort up in St. Charles.
The Pheasant Run is
Pheasant
where
Run.
there's a Zanies.
Yeah.
Zanies up there. Yeah.
Were you there? Were you in the city?
I was there, and I usually come in and do the city on Thursday, do Vernon Hills when it was open on Friday, and then do the one up at Pheasant Run on Saturday.
Okay.
I'd always come in for the Air and Water show. Love the Air and Water show.
Yeah.
So I go to the test flights on Thursday. Usually go up with somebody on Thursday. Either I mean, I had a great experience. Went up with the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels.
Okay.
And I think for WLS TV there, and went up, and of course, you know, the pilots are these hotshot 23-year-olds, you know, flying rockets with wings, and you know, we go straight up in a barrel roll, and I passed out.
Yeah.
And and if I hadn't passed out, I would have been more surprised than if I didn't. So I got down there, and I said, you know, I think I passed out up there, and this hotshot kid looks at me and says, "No, you were screaming the whole time." Which I thought was what a great answer. What an ass. What an ass he was. But I got to fly with flight team Lima, got to jump with the Golden Knights, jumped in an opening act, if you will, for the Air and Water show, got to jump with the Army's jump team. You know, that was a lot. So I do that during the day, and then I go do comedy at night. It was just great.
I was found to, well, I mean, in the Vegas reviews and stuff I would host, or the showrooms, you know, you got to pepper the act with jokes and comedy, and I found that at the beginning to be really intimidating. The whole stand-up.
I didn't have that kind of good sense, Don. I didn't find it intimidating at all. I probably should have. You know, and I worked Blue, which was.
I know.
Much to the consternation of ABC Legal. They weren't thrilled about that. Took me to lunch at 21 one day and said, we really wish you wouldn't do this. And I said, but I'm not contractually barred from doing it. They said, no, you're not. And I said, okay, then I guess I'll be doing it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Working in television where everything goes into a lens and falls out into people's rooms. And, I mean, what it's like. I mean, to not have an audience is rough. I mean, it's rough. And yeah, you have adoring fans and people who watch the show. And I don't mean to belittle that at all, but there's nothing like a live audience. And so to be able to do the show during the week and then go out and do live stuff, it was really the best of both worlds. And I mean, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. I did it for a long time and it was great. But it's certainly, I've got a lot of hosting jobs from that. Got a lot of work at Disney from that, just because I was used to thinking on my feet.
I saw the Disney connection someplace here. Yeah.
Well, Disney bought ABC. We had been owned by Capital Cities owned us, and Disney bought us. And then, of course, they had these things called at the MGM park down in Florida. They had these Super Soap weekends.
That's
and
what I'm saying.
One year, I mean, I hosted just about every bloody event down there, and then lived at Disney World, at Disneyland for a month, because they had like General Hospital and Port Charles one weekend and One Life to Live the next weekend and All My Children the last weekend, and I was hosting for all of them. And to live at Disneyland for a month is kind of weird. Very
surreal,
strange, but fun. Yeah, very surreal. Excuse me, but I was a big Disney maniac, and my kids at that point in time are the perfect age, to be backdoored to everything at Disney. Good.
Last week, I had a group of our performers on, and we chatted quite a bit. And Emily did something from The Little Mermaid from her pool, which was very funny. And I had to ask something stupidly, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's Disney." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm not a huge Disney freak myself. I
What's wrong with you, Don?
That's what
very, very
they all turned on me. They all turned on me.
Now, it is the evil empire. Having seen what goes on beneath Disney, I will tell you, it's the evil empire. But at the same time, it's Disney.
Oh, I have friends who worked there that, we won't ruin any of the.
They'll tell you it's the evil empire.
They will. They will.
Yes.
Wow, that's tough. All right, so we toured around the country with the whole bit. In '93, I've got a picture here that says, I'm just going to share with everybody how big of a soap fan I am. Walt and I were on a telethon together many years back.
Probably 20 years ago, Don. Who are you kidding? Every bit of 20 years ago.
And I was hosting, and he came on, and we fooled around for a long time, joking and stuff. And that's when we were giving away your DVDs of your comedy act. And that's when I brought one home and watched the whole act, including how you broke your nose. But
true story. I'm proud to say that is a true story. So.
Is it? If you're wondering what this is, I'm sure the DVD's available someplace.
I don't know that it is. I don't have any, but maybe
I think I have a few to the highest bidder. But anyway, Lexi, my daughter, when she was little, I enjoyed Disney, and it was fun to see it through her eyes. As an adult, I don't think planning a year ahead where you had to eat and all this other stuff, that's not a vacation to me. I'd rather just
not to rub your nose in it, but we didn't have to do that, so it was wonderful. But to do my wife now is saying, when are we going to go to Disney? I'm like, I don't know if I can ever go back to Disney to tell you the truth and stand in line to go to Space Mountain. I don't know if I can do that. But
I performed in Branson for 2 years, and one day I was sitting in traffic between shows.
Redneck Disney.
Yeah.
Redneck Disney. Yes.
The entertainment capital of Missouri. That's right.
Branson, the entertainment capital of Branson. That's right.
That's right. Branson, famous, man. But I was sitting in traffic one day, and it was so hot, and I had the top down, and
notice how he slips in. He was in his car, but it was a convertible, folks.
Oh, it was a Chrysler Sebring, please. And here's King Kong roaring from the Hollywood Wax Museum on one side. There's Pirate Golf over there. I'm in back of a duck ride, those amphibious vehicles where everybody's given duck
Don,
lips.
I've been to the Wisconsin Dells. I grew up in
Okay.
Ottawa. Of course, I
All
know
right.
what a duck is.
Quack, quack from that. And Jim Stafford's Jolly Trolley is behind me. So the comedian is heckling me from behind. And just at that point, a volcano in the uh, water park thing blew up, and it was a very windy day. And it went straight up into the air and into my car and drenched me because I was right next to it. And I thought, why do I live here? This is the most surreal, bizarre, unreal place I've ever lived in my life. And
That's
since I've
because you
been
never
back,
lived in Vegas. Had you lived in Vegas, you would have had other things. Those big white tigers jump in your convertible as you go by.
yeah, Siegfried and Roy. Yeah. Speaking of tigers, did you watch the Tiger King?
Of course, I don't live in a bubble here, Don. I watched the Tiger King. I think I probably watched it all in one day.
Movie coming out with Nicolas Cage.
No, is that right?
Yeah.
Nick Cage. What is that thing on top of Nick Cage's head? Can anybody tell me what is that thing? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I kind of wish it was a toupee, so you'd say it was a bad toupee, but
I don't know what it is. It seems to be growing from there. But if I had something like that growing from there, I'd go see somebody.
I don't know.
Anyway, my good friend Nick Cage, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know how much more of the story they can tell. Maybe we will find out if that quote, that bitch Carol Baskins killed her husband or not. I think she's guilty.
So don't care, but it was interesting to watch. Those people all deserved one another as far as I was concerned. So,
okay, we're gonna go to something that's kind of unusual here. Well, I don't think I knew about this, or maybe I did.
Oh gosh, I probably don't either.
Well, I mean, it's not surprising knowing that you're an artist, but you did some graphic novels, right?
I did. Well, I starred. Oh gosh, I forgot to include that. That's one of my big pop culture things. You know, I've had a few pop culture moments. Oh, Superman. Yeah, no, that's yeah. Here's the story on this, and it ties into Howard Johnson. Howard was getting married. And, you know, I love the pop culture things. Like, you know, I did the Match Game, and I did You Bet Your Life with Cosby, and I did To Tell the Truth, and I've hosted the Tournament of Roses parade and all this kind of stuff. I just, you know, been on Sesame Street as Indy Jones, and I just love the pop culture stuff. It means a lot to me. I don't know why it does, but it does. So I'm at Howard's wedding. I was his best man in Vegas. And there it is. Yeah, there it is. How many people have wanted to do that, ladies and gentlemen? Walt Willey must die. This is Bernie Chang, drew this great comic book artist. So we're there, and Joe Quesada, who at that time, I don't know if he was drawing Spider-Man or who he was drawing, but he was drawing for Marvel at that time. And there's the comedy thing. It was so much fun. And I never wore a tux on stage, though. I will say that. And now Joe Quesada is part of Marvel Entertainment. I thought he was CEO for a while, but maybe not. Anyway, so we're talking, and I'm talking to Joe. Of course, I'm a fanboy, and so to talk to Joe Quesada, I was pretty excited about that anyway, because he's this great comic book artist. So we're talking about how soaps and comic books are two of the remaining forms of serial entertainment. I mean, a lot of comic books, they were self-contained, but a lot of them had continuing stories, or the things that happened in one issue would be picked up in the next, or, you know, they weren't, so it was a continuing story. And so we started to talk about that. He said, you know, I've got some friends at Valiant Comics. Let me give that, you know, would you want to do a comic book? And I said, I don't draw that well. He said, no, but would you like to be in one? Yes, I would love to be in one. Are you kidding? What a goofy question. Of course I would. And so when I got back to New York, went to see the guys at Valiant and Bernard Chang, and sent him a bunch of, I mean, I was driving a Cherokee at the time, and they drew the Cherokee pulling up to the studio and all this kind of crazy stuff. And so yes, I got to go to Comic-Con in San Diego to promote the thing. It's like, again, this pop culture stuff is the best part of all this career stuff.
We accidentally booked a room at a hotel that was hosting one of those, and we didn't know what was going on. And the funniest thing I saw, it was a big hotel. It had balconies all the way around uh, the lobby, the atrium thing, and so you
Sure,
could see.
that's an embassy.
Yeah, yeah, I
It's
think
an
it was.
embassy. Yeah.
And
Yes.
way across
I
on the other
guarantee it
balcony,
was.
we saw this shark going up and knocking on a room. A shark, and all we could think of was Candygram.
Yeah, it's a land
Yeah.
shark, of course. Yeah.
You mentioned
Here's one doing just about staying in in hotels where weird things are going on. So Katie McLean and I are doing Barefoot in the Park. We did it out in Long Island and in the Round, by the way, if you can imagine.
Oh, I love it around.
But Barefoot in the Park in the Round.
Well, yeah, not a lot of
No,
action.
listen, big success as it turned out. But I was like, in the Round. It was a revolving stage, thank God. So you just played your play and tried not to fall off the bloody thing. But so we checked. So then we were doing it in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, and we check into this hotel, and I noticed there's a step stool by the buttons in the elevator, and I'm like, oh, I guess somebody would change the light in here. They left their stool, whatever. So we go to do our kind of tune-up rehearsal because it had been a week or so. And we come back and they're having a little people's convention at this hotel.
Oh.
It is now, it looks like, it looks like the Munchkin.
Land.
I mean, and I'm not being, derisive at all, but it's filled with midgets and dwarfs. And and so we come back from the show that night. There was a disco there. This is like, I don't know, 91, I guess. And there's like a disco in the place. So we go there. It was just the strangest thing to not know you're walking into that and to walk into that. It was, it was actually a lot of fun. It was actually a lot of fun. Spent a lot of time on my knee taking pictures that night. So it was,
the disco.
You were on my knees in the disco.
I was going to say, you're like 3'4"?
6'3". Used to be.
6'3".
Who knows now? I've been ground down by this business. I'm probably 5'9".
Shrinking. Yeah, we're all shrinking. Hey, you mentioned helpful hint to frequent travelers when you get to frequently travel again, because I too spent many, many years on the road in hotels. I always carried Post-it notes with me, and if I were anywhere near an ice machine, I would just put a Post-it that said "out of order" on it. I mean, if it was next to my room, and noise
because you didn't want people dropping ice and waking you
up.
Not
in the middle of the night. No, I was kind enough to take it off when I got up the next day. All right. You mentioned Sesame Street.
Hey, I got a better idea, Don. Why didn't you ask for room away from the ice machine? That's what I did.
Well,
don't put me near the elevator or the ice machine.
I did. I was also really good at helping myself to the maid's closet. They hardly ever had to show up. But let's talk about Sesame Street.
Do not disturb sign goes right on the minute I check in. Do not disturb goes on. Give me the towels. Give me the sheets. I got
when
it.
I leave. Hey, we're at Sesame Street. Come and play. Snuffleupagus. This I know. Now we got a picture of you someplace. Is this a video, Chad?
Oh, is this a video? You found the episode.
Oh,
Chad Brokaw, you're the best.
He is the best. May not play, but
that's okay. We got to look at Snuffleupagus. So what the heck?
Technology's grand. I guess we don't get that, but
we do have Chad, I take back everything I've said nice about you. No, that's. But now you can tell me what the episode is, so I can try to find it, because my wife doesn't believe me that I actually
can't.
Sesame Street.
I'm telling you, Chad is a miracle worker. I forgot to even mention him, our tech guy, our producer, who's running all this crap for us, because I am way too old to figure it out myself. Is Chad Brokaw.
Don, shame on you.
Look at you. Yeah, this is Sesame Street.
That's me with the boulder that chased me back and forth several times. That's not me groping Snuffleupagus. That's me with the boulder that chased me back and forth throughout the show.
Was this in
Again,
Indiana?
What a fun thing to be able to do, to go on Sesame Street, for God's sake.
I'll bet. I always kind of wanted to see the whole behind the scenes there. For some reason, I was very curious about it.
Well, I didn't know this, but the guy who played Big Bird, what's his name? Carol, shoot. Wow, that's pretty, I'm done so well so far.
I'm impressed.
His hand is in the beak, and his other hand is in the hand, and he can't see out of that thing. So he's got a monitor strapped to his chest. So the only way he can see where he is relative to the set is if they're taking a shot of him.
Wow.
So they have to make sure the shot is of him so he can see where he is, or he's just blind, you know. And a few
Wow.
times he ran into stuff because the shot didn't include like the closest object to him and stuff. It was interesting
Boom.
to see.
Poor guy. Hey, we got a picture here of you and one of my favorite actresses in oh God, how do I kindly say this? Morgan Fairchild.
No.
I love every
Oh,
single.
Morgan Fairchild,
Yeah.
absolutely. I remember
What was
getting a
this
call
from now?
that's from The City. The City was an ABC soap. It took the place of Loving, and they brought me over as Morgan's old boyfriend, as her character's old boyfriend, and I did, I don't know, maybe 10 shows there or so. And I remember Lovitz calling me. You know, John Lovitz had the whole thing.
Oh,
My
yeah.
girlfriend, Morgan Fairchild. And I remember he called me up and said, "What are you doing with my girlfriend, Morgan Fairchild?" Which was fun.
I'm a big fan of her work. I too like the old. We were talking about horror films before we signed on here, and I too am a big fan of the old school ones. I'm not much for the slice and dice ones, but Morgan Fairchild has appeared in some of the most god awful but fun stuff, like Girls' School for Satan. And I always love it when she plays the bitch sorority sister or the bitch stepmother. I mean, she's got it down. She's got it down. She's got a great voice.
I'm working with Morgan was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it made John Lovitz very jealous.
Oh, I'll bet. I'll bet. You know what? We're gonna fast forward here. Now we kind of covered a lot of ground to, to kind of what brought you through and from my SIU, excuse me, to the soap world and stuff. But you came back to Ottawa for a while.
I did for quite a while. Yeah.
2009 was it?
2009, I was doing the stand-up comedy thing out at Grand Bear Resort. And geez, it just, we had to like push the curtains open between ballrooms and expand. It was great shows, a lot of fun. And Howard Johnson and I were doing, we were doing some improv to warm the crowd up, which is where we met Erica Quirk, actually. And we'll get to her in a moment. She, and that's where we met her. She did a bunch of our shows with us later then. Great story, actually. And we were doing WCMY to promote this. And Mary Morgan, who was a high school teacher when we were going to Ottawa High School, Mary Fennessy in those days, who was a counselor for 20 plus years there, and one of my favorite people in the world, who actually paid another teacher money to take me out of her class into his class because he gave Ev Lunning $20 and took two of his worst kids, is her story, so she didn't have to teach me. But we're good friends these days.
Fair trade.
She came by and the three of us got talking. The Ottawa Community Players I thought were still around, and I found out that they weren't. And I knew that Streeter had Engle Lane, and LaSalle Peru had Stage 212, and I thought, gee, Ottawa should, we should have something here. And so I thought, well, maybe I could bring some people in from daytime with me and work with the local folks and do some shows. So that very summer, we ended up doing our first one there in 2009, The Odd Couple. And there it is. And brought Jill Larson in, who of course was on All My Children, who played Opal Gardner on All My Children, one of everybody's favorite characters. And of course, Howard and I were friends since preschool. I mean, since Sunday school, we were friends. So we did that year. And it was so much fun. Strangely enough, I ended up I played Felix in this in this production, set by Dave Keeley. The set was nicer and more stable than my first apartment in New York. What a great set. There's the whole bunch. There's Mary. So there's Mary to my right there. And of course, Jill and Howard. And Lloyd, all the way to the left, he did a bunch of shows that went with us. And but that fall, I played Oscar, down at the Surflight Theater in Long Beach Island off the coast of New Jersey, where I had a beach house down there. Went down there, and so I got to play both characters, both Felix and Oscar, within 4 months of each other, which was really interesting. You'd think it would have helped me. You'd think I would have known the lines. No help at all. Had to relearn the whole show again. But that's when I was off the show. I had been fired in July of 2009 from All My Children for pretty much saying what everybody was thinking about what they'd done to the show under this new guy, and brought a new head writer in who brought us all into the rehearsal hall and said, I don't care about the history. I don't care about what happened before. And we thought, what the hell do you think you're writing for? This show is all about history. It's all about what came before. And all these people that have been watching it for 25 years already, they know what happened. But he wanted to be able to, slip things around. He had me sleeping with Erica's maid, which would never happen in years. And I finally one day said, I don't know how to play this. I don't know how to play. I'll play it, but I don't know how to play it. And I guess I shamed him publicly or something and threw some shade at him. And when my option came up, they let me go. Hired me back 6 months later after they fired him. So there you go.
Okay.
But got to play both sides of that show, which was a lot of fun. Okay. The next year came, because that went very well. There was a very successful show. Came back the next year and did
Arsenic. Arsenic and Old Lace.
Arsenic and Old Lace, exactly right. And this was really fun because my roommate in Los Angeles was a special effects makeup artist. So she did this wonderful forehead for Howard, who was playing the Boris Karloff character, and there you see it. The makeup was just terrific. And that is Julia Barr, who played Brooke on All My Children. I think this is actually a shot of I don't have a mustache, and she's got a wig. She got like a piece on, but her hair isn't great. I think this must have been a dress rehearsal, something there. But that's the famous window seat. Funny story here. Of course, I would come in. I usually came in on July 6th. My anniversary at the time was July 5th, and then the day next I'd come in, and they had already been in rehearsal for some time. And Erica Korik, she was the stand-in for Julia Barr, and so she knew the lines. She was ahead of everybody at that point in time. And I came in, and I'm watching rehearsal, and which was at the basement of the Trinity Lutheran Church, and we're very supportive. And I'm watching rehearsal, and everything's upstage. I'm like, this is a comedy. It's supposed to be played downstage. Why is everything upstage? And it turns out that they had taped. When they taped the set out on the floor, they had the front door way up top, downstage where it was supposed to be. So the first thing we had to do was reblock everything.
Great.
Great. Zoe Cassidy, I used local directors. I think Zoe Cassidy was our director for the first two shows. Just incredible. And there's so much great talent there, and people so committed, as you well know, to the arts there. And we kind of co-direct, it was just a lot, and that also did very well. People loved that. It's a great show.
I saw that
Mortimer in that. Oh my God, for IVCC, I believe, a billion years before with Kate. Oh God, this is going back a long ways now. The director was, you got to let me find this. She played Sally Bowles and everything for a million years.
Mickey Callahan.
Mickey Callahan was the director. I was so in love with Mickey Callahan.
Yeah, we all were.
Such a crush on Mickey Callahan. Are you kidding?
We all were. Everybody.
Mickey Callahan
went on to win Jeff Awards and the whole bit. Yeah.
And I was playing Mortimer then, and I played Mortimer in this. 20 years, 30 years later. It's pretty weird. But
where'd you do that? When you were at IVCC, because theater wasn't there yet.
Spring Valley Theater. I think wasn't there a little theater in Spring Valley?
Big theater. That was my first place.
Yeah.
It's now apartment
I couldn't
building.
tell you who else was in that show, but Katie Cahill played one of the aunts, who was a good friend of Lynn Lister's. Maybe even Lynn. I don't think Lynn was in that show.
I didn't see.
But anyway, that's, 1970 bloody, I don't even know, 72 maybe or something, 73.
Probably. I think we're looking about the same time there, because I was there in 74 and we were still in the Valley Theater, and then eventually
Yeah.
the campus. But that beautiful theater we have now was not there in my time. So when I came back 15 years
Oh,
ago,
that is a beautiful theater. Yeah.
well, it keeps getting remodeled. All right, back to Ottawa here.
Sure.
Oh, we got a picture of you and your son Chance, I think, in Arsenic and Old Lace.
Yes. Chance, this was the first time on stage together. Chance probably did. Chance has done more plays than I have. I mean, Chance, I think, has done 70 plays at this point, maybe more. He was playing Officer O'Hara. And of course, Officer O'Hara is supposed to be considerably older. But I remember he came in shortly after I did. And Julia Barr and I were standing there watching him. And Julia said, she said, that now I remember, that's the way you're supposed to come in ready for a show. He was ready the day he got there. But so funny, it was Sunday matinee, and the guy playing Lieutenant something, the boss of all the cops, was in the dressing room, and I guess he had decided to do a little reading, and it closed his eyes to rest and fall asleep, and missed his entrance. You know, the big reveal.
Yeah, that's
everybody's
good.
Gonna get arrested. Missed his entrance. So Chance comes busting in saying, if Lieutenant, whatever the name was, if Lieutenant so-and-so was here, I know what he'd say. He'd say, and he saved the show, saved the matinee. And I just.
Isn't that a charge, though, working with your kids? I've had the pleasure of working with my daughter several times. And
it's the best.
Mostly when she was little, and now more in a directorial role. She was my assistant choreographer for Mamma Mia. And she was like 7 months pregnant doing it. Still had the moves. And then that same summer or fall, rather, she directed and choreographed Mamma Mia. She called me and she said, "Dad, I need a favor." And you don't say no to your daughter. So I wound up playing Sam again. But, all right, Plaza Suite. Harvey, did I skip one? Plaza Suite was in 2011.
Plaza Suite was, I believe, 2011. I think was Plaza Suite.
Again, if you got questions or comments, make sure you drop them here on the YouTube channel, and we will pass them along. Go ahead, Walt.
Yeah, no, this I think was the first time that Jan Hartman and Maureen Wolfe came in as directors. I think Zoe Cassidy was busy, but here's Howard's son on the top right there. Morgan was in it, so Howard got to work with his son. There's Erica Quirk, who I got to tell you, she did such an incredible job standing in for Julia Barr. We often said, maybe Julia doesn't want to do this. Maybe we should just leave Erica. And she was so good. And so we made sure she got a lead the next show. And the next show, unfortunately, she had to work with me. So,
hey, Chad, can you go back one picture there? Yeah.
So there's Howard down front, and Taylor Miller, who played Nina on All My Children back in the Cliff and Nina days, was one of our guest stars. And then Cale Brown, who wasn't in yet when we shot this, Taylor lives in Chicago, so we were able to get her down. This was the announced date, which was before the actual.
Well, I'm seeing a couple of very familiar faces here. There's Debbie Torrey behind you.
Deb Torrey did there's Deb Torrey, there's Randy Altman up top.
And up on the top there, too, that next to Howard's son is, I believe, David Zallis,
David Zallis, absolutely, who did.
Yep, he went on to New York. Yep. Yeah. Good guy. And Debbie's one of my favorites. Okay, what do we got next there, Chad?
What can you say about Deb Torrey? Deb Torrey is one of my favorites, too.
She's watching.
Oh, she is?
Say it
Hello,
directly.
Deb. I love you so much.
All right, and this is, again...
This is Cale Brown, who I knew from Another World. And Randy Altman to the left, who did a bunch of shows with us, one of the great comic actor, and Mary Morgan to the right there, who we've talked about, who also did, she did every show with us. There's Howard and Taylor.
Yep.
This was a really fun show. I really enjoyed this show.
I like Plaza Suite.
And then there's the lovely and talented Erica Quirk. I mean, this is a woman who could very easily have done this for a living. An incredibly talented actor.
Oh, I know who you. Yes, we saw her. She's amazing. She
was our Auntie Mame. She was. Yes. I mean, she did Wait Until Dark with us and just carried the show on her shoulder. I mean, she was just incredible.
First time I saw her in one of those shows over there, I thought she was the imported. Yeah,
Right.
I
You
did.
thought she was the ringer. No, she was
I really did.
just incredible. And we got to play opposite other so many times. And, there's really an endless amount of talent there.
Oh, I know.
But
I
when
know.
you've got a show like Anti-Mame or Wait Until Dark,
Right.
you need, and I kind of take a cue from Eastwood, who works with the same actors all the time. We had open auditions, and if there was somebody we thought was better, we went with them. But if there wasn't, we went with the people we knew were
Right.
going to, again, and, people have favorites around there too. Randy Altman's a big crowd pleaser there. I know he did a bunch of stuff in Ingle Lane as well.
Right.
And, oh gosh, help me out.
If I can.
He played the bad guy in our last show. He played I can't
Help,
remember
Debbie.
the character's name now.
Debbie will remember.
Debbie will remember. He did in It's a Wonderful Life. He played but he played at Ingle Lane bunches of times. They had a big following there, so we were happy to have him.
Sure.
On
What do we got next there? I think we go on to the next year. Harvey. This is 2012. Now
Harvey,
these were all...
Harvey with Vincent Irizarry, who played Dr. David Hayward on All My Children. Big fan favorite there. And Erica Cork, of course. And there's David Zellis right there. Harvey was a lot of fun. And there's the entire cast and crew. And so many of these folks, I look at these faces, and so many, Karen Leifheit there, so many of these folks did every show with us. I mean, there's Jerry Perry, who did 2 or 3, Deb Torrey, Mary Morgan, who did so many shows with us. It was, and that painting in back of myself and the rabbit there of Harvey was done by Tim Trumbo, and it was such a wonderful. That was my favorite time of the year, coming in there in July and getting that up the first weekend in August. It was a lot of fun. Here's Howard.
Howard's always perfect on stage.
I love Howard. What's not to love?
Yeah. Oh,
Randy Altman, Mary Morgan, Deb Torrey.
Yeah. Harvey. It's also a very fun show, even though it's class. Oh, look at you, Howard. What's the character?
It's a very fun show.
Elwood, right?
Elwood. Yes. Thank you for. I couldn't have come up with that in a million years. Yes, Elwood.
I am so much better at character names than people's names. It's
well, I can't remember either one these days, it seems. So
okay, then we skip to 2013, and it's Death Trap, right?
Yeah, Death Trap. That was my son and I worked out a lot of stuff.
I bet.
Death Trap. Yeah, I love that show. That was the year Ottawa was redoing its theater, and we had to go over to Central Junior High there, or Central Middle School, I guess it's called there. And they had a brand new floor down, and they didn't want us to do anything. We used to just screw things into the floor at Ottawa,
Sure.
So we had to lay down a special kind of flooring so it wouldn't get scratched. Bobby Eakes, terrific singer, that was on All My Children, and a couple of other shows before that, came in and did that. And there's Howard and Mary. And my son played Cliff, and I played whatever character I played, and like I said, he got to kill me at some point, and I think I sent you that shot, him killing me there, or thinking he did. And Death Trap, again, so much fun, and so much fun trying to find all these guns and weapons to put up. I actually had to shoot him, of course, with that crossbow, and it was a real crossbow. And we had to put a couple bales of straw backstage, so I had something to shoot it into, and then him come falling out with this thing in him. That's my own battle axe there from my. I'm a big Ren Fair guy, so I actually had a battle axe, if you can imagine.
We were just talking about the Renaissance Fair, the one.
I missed the Ren Fair. They're not having them. I thought it'd be perfect. They could just pretend it's Black Plague and just go with it. But
no kidding.
So
you've been in the one in Bristol, right?
I have been in the one. I've been in most of them. I've been the one I used to go to a lot when I was in New York was the one up at Sterling Forest up in Tuxedo, New York. They have a huge one up there. I've been to the big one in Pennsylvania. There's one here. I've been to the one down in Tampa. I've been to one in Texas. I even played Little John in the Robin Hood Legend one year
Oh,
up in Tuxedo. I
never
guested
got to
in for a couple
joust.
of weekends.
Never joust.
No.
That
Better stuff.
requires horseback riding and jousting.
That requires 30 less years than I currently have on my bones, is what that
Yeah,
requires.
I know. You came back in 2014,
Yes.
and this has got to be the biggest cast of one you ever did, right?
Oh,
Mame,
Anti-Mame?
Anti-Mame, the play
Yeah,
version of Mame.
huge. Huge. Yeah, that's just the cast. That's not even the crew. We had a crew
Yeah,
on top of it. And set changes like crazy.
we saw this.
Um,
We saw this.
yeah, long show, and we took cuts. I mean,
Right.
there's only so short that show could be. Erica Quirk in the lead role. We had Colleen Zank, excuse me, who was to my left, to your right, in the green
Playing
thing there,
Vera.
playing Vera,
Mhm.
and my son Chance playing, and then we had Jerry Perry's son in the blue blazer there playing Chance as a kid.
Right.
Of course, he gets older, and then he came back and played Chance's son at the end of the show. And they looked enough. It was somehow we'd have trouble casting. Who the hell are we going to get to play this? And somehow, inevitably, we'd find somebody. Do you know how long I had to look for a Chief Bromden in Cuckoo's Nest? I didn't have to look at all. He showed up at the audition. I'm like,
Wow.
I was getting ready to play it myself, if you can imagine. Such a thing as I'm big, I thought, well, I can probably do that, but then I have to find a McMurphy. So how do I do? And this guy walks in. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Thank you, Jesus. So there's Colleen Zink and the incredibly talented Erica Quirk.
Right.
Couldn't have done Wait Until Dark without her, frankly. She's just
I'm sure.
just incredible.
I've directed the musical Mame several times. I'm very
Yes.
familiar with the play. It veers a little bit with the character Gooch and stuff. Did you play Beauregard?
I did. I also played Beauregard. I did.
Right.
I did.
Okay.
I played Beauregard and the
writer guy.
The writer guy. Yeah.
Irish.
I at that point in time, I was really enjoying co-directing with Jan and Maureen,
Right.
and I wanted to put a good show up, and if I was in it, great. If I wasn't in it, I was kind of okay with me. But I also realized that's my beginning probably put some of the butts in the seats.
Probably.
So, but there were times I thought, like the last one, It's a Wonderful Life, I played the father who's not even in the play. He's in the film, but not in the play.
Right.
And at least the version we did. And then I ended up also playing what's the character's name? His henchman, his guy who pushes him around in the wheelchair. I ended up playing him because we lost that actor just before we opened. But otherwise, I was on stage for 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I used to worry about
when I owned the dinner theater down in Peoria. There was, I enjoyed playing some of those parts, but a lot of times the show would come up. They convinced me to do Grease, and I'm like, nobody's going to come see Grease, but we're talking probably 89, 90, somewhere around there. I don't know. And so we did Grease, and I thought, thank God I don't have to be in this one. I can just relax. And we didn't have anybody to play the teen angel. And rather than pay another contract, I said, I'll do a one scene bit. So I came down on the swing, sang one song, and was back in my office during Act 2.
You got to come down on the swing. That's why you did it. Don't give me that. It was the swing that got
It was.
you.
It was. Yeah, for 4 months doing that was cool. We were talking about Cuckoos. I'm looking at my notes here. 2015 is when you did what you were just talking about. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's ambitious.
Yeah, we started doing 2 shows then. And there's my Chief Bromden back there. I mean, can you believe I found this guy? I mean, it just, and I got to play McMurphy, which was just a thrill, of course. I mean, it's such a classic character. And there are people who say, and now we were now no longer in the Ottawa High School. It got too expensive. And we wanted to do 2 shows and not one. So we do one big one. And then we ended up over at the 807 building there. Kelly, Kelly, of course.
Right. Oh, we know Kelly very well.
You know Kelly. playing Nurse Ratched. She was incredible, and Chance was so good as Billy Bibbit that she I can't play with There's Chances. Billy Bibbit and Deb Torrey as a hooker, folks. Could you be more different than what she's really like? And Chances Billy Bibbit was so. I mean, Kelly's like, I can't work with this. We had a great cast of nuts. I mean, we really did, and we turned the whole upstairs there into the asylum. So when you walked in, you got patted down, and you were told the rules. If they talk to you, don't talk to them, and all this kind of thing. And the entire stage area was done like their rec room, their day room. Right. And then we did the electroshock therapy. We did that right down in front of the stage. So I mean, when they gave me a jolt, and we had the lovely and talented Steve Stout as one of our nuts.
I know Steve. Yeah,
of course you do. Everybody knows Steve. And great cast. Again, just so much fun.
I did not see this one. Was Kelly Nurse Ratched?
She was Nurse Ratched. She was terrific. She was terrific. Yeah, she and Chance. I couldn't watch it.
Did you see that Ryan Murphy is writing a Netflix series that's called Ratched?
No, well, I'm not surprised.
I know. It's the backstory of Nurse Ratched.
The backstory for Nurse Ratched. Well, Ryan Murphy's a sick puppy anyway.
Isn't he? Did you watch Hollywood? Did you watch his?
Sure, of course. Yeah.
It took me a long time.
I'm going back and watching Nip Tuck right now. In fact, I liked Nip Tuck. I was one of the few things that did.
We went through the entire season, and then again seasons of Schitt's Creek, one of the best shows on television.
Oh, and then you've also got American Horror Story, which we still go back and binge. Come on, you gotta love Jessica Lange.
Well, yeah, I loved it when Jessica was on it, and then the last few years, I'm like, Jessica's one of my favorites.
Things changed, Don. They can't all stay the same. We like them too, but they.
I know. I will always admire her in 1,000 Acres. I thought she was brilliant in that, and the one where she's the army wife.
We're talking about
Jessica.
Oh, yeah, Jessica Lange. Well, I mean, she was terrific in King Kong. Come on, I mean.
I know. That's when I developed my crush.
Oh boy,
my two crushes were Jessica Lange and Michelle Pfeiffer.
And Jeff Bridges. Oh no, okay.
No, not Jeff Bridges. No, not my type. Let's move on to my favorite year. This was
one of my favorite shows. This film was one of my favorite films. It's based on what would you call it? When Mel Brooks was a junior writer for Your Show of Shows, and there's Chances Benji. He had the lead in that. He was terrific. And he is Alan Swan, the Errol Flynn character. It's based on the premise that when Mel was writing for Your Show of Shows with Sid Caesar, they had Errol Flynn on, and Errol Flynn came in drunk. And the story goes that Mel Brooks was put in charge of Errol Flynn showing up and doing the show properly and stuff. Well, that's, it's, I don't know. The story's not necessarily so, but it's a great premise. And
I know this is a musical. I didn't know
it is a musical. It's not. We just cut all the songs, Don.
Clever.
And it's strung together very well. We kept one production number for Erica, the clowning around one, and she was terrific in it. But it was just, we didn't do musicals by and large, and we didn't have the facility to do it, and a piano alone was just a little tough. And so I wanted very badly to do it. It's a funny show just as a play. Yeah. And I thought, well, I don't know that's going to be looking over my shoulder. Let me just cut the songs. So I did.
Nobody from Tams Whitmark or MTI showed up, so you're good.
Nobody showed up, and I paid them like I was doing a musical. So
I know. Now this is Inherit the Wind. That was your first show of 2016.
Yes, it was. Again, and this we when we were in the smaller theater, we tried to really make it very immersive. so we made, people from the cast sat in the audience during the courtroom stuff. The jury was in the audience. Joe Bima as the preacher.
Right.
Terrific. And so, when they marched, when we did these shots, he shot it like we were doing a film up there, and these are some of the great show shots that don't look like show shots, that don't look like play shots. They look like they're video lifts. But we had the people when they were demonstrating against the teacher that was teaching these folks here. They went right through the audience there, and it was it was a very interesting thing.
I think that young lady you're talking to, unless that's that was one of our former theater students at IVCC.
Who's that?
Can you roll back one, Chad? I'm sorry. Right there.
That's not me talking to you. That's Sean.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I see.
CMY. But thank you for thinking I'm 26 years old.
I was going to say this guy's much younger. What was I thinking?
He's much younger, much younger. And I got to come up with her name. Damn it.
I'm pulling a blank too. I want to say Morgan or something like that. Boy, somebody let me know. That's fine.
Yeah, she was terrific. She was terrific.
I'm pushing through these pictures because I want to get to the stuff that I find really interesting here that you've been doing lately.
And the rest of the stuff you find just boring, Don? What?
I'm dozing off whenever we go to the thing.
You and me both.
Taking you and me both. Yeah. This is the one you mentioned before, Wait Until Dark.
Yeah. I mean, I literally had to build a Manhattan apartment in this space, complete with washer, dryer, everything. And, luckily, and I had a dagger trick to do where he throws the dagger and it sticks next to her. We had to have this thing bounce out of the wall, all this stuff. And it was one of the most, and then we had this great show. And then the Cubs are in the World Series while we were running, and really, cut our numbers, unfortunately, but we did videotape it. And one day I'll get the video up because it was one of the best shows we ever did. There's Chance as Rote, super scary. I became very frightened of my son after the show. Very frightened. He was really good.
She's dyed his hair and everything. That's commitment.
Oh, you don't have to worry about him getting into a role. Don't you worry about that. I had to live with Rote for a month and a half before this went up. So it was not. Yeah, because he plays 3 characters there, if you know the story. And we did it, we went totally black. We had put blacks up on all the windows. I mean, when it went black in there. And again, Erica Quirk, just phenomenal. It was a pleasure.
She needs to pop over. What's that? She needs to pop over to IVCC and do some stuff with us. We love people.
Yeah, no, she only works with us. So we just, I'm sure she'd love to, actually.
What's going on with the productions now? You did some your Wild Bill thing. Are any plans to bring him back or
bring back Wild Bill?
No, the Ottawa project.
I'd love to.
You're in Nashville now, so
I am in Nashville now. It was getting real without a theater. It's really difficult because we, for instance, we lost our set storage, which we had on site. We didn't, and then we did have on site, and losing set storage, and the price kept going up. And it was just tough. I was also doing, unfortunately, I don't have shots of this because we did video of all our productions. We also did like 8 shows with the Children's Learning Theater there too, and in that space. And it was a wonderful space to be in. It was great, but it's really tough because we had no set storage per se. So you'd have to build everything again. And we had no costume storage. We had nothing. And so producing a show there was really difficult. I loved it. It was a labor of love. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But it got so tough.
Well, in the very dark ages, I used to go over and do shows at Ottawa Community Players before they folded. They were a fun
when they were down on Norris Drive there.
Yeah.
I mean, not on Norris Drive, on Boyce Memorial Drive there. They had a couple places. They had one on
Yeah,
Boyce Memorial Drive
I'm trying to
that I
remember which
think
is which.
came out
This
of
used to be
the
a garage
Silica
or
Sand
something.
thing.
Something that used to be a garage. Yes, so somewhere. I don't. Who can remember that far back? I was like
Not
19.
you or me. It's become pretty clear, Don. So maybe
We
somebody else
suck.
can, but not you or me.
We're the worst. All right. So why are you in Nashville? I know. Tell our viewers. You met somebody.
Oh, I did. I did. I was going to say, I don't know why I'm in Nashville
Yeah,
because
I
here
don't
I am.
know. I don't know.
No, I in 2014 on my birthday, in fact, I was playing the Zanies in Nashville,
Right.
and I met a delightful woman, Sarah Kane, who was
Okay.
no relation to Erica Kane, by the way. Isn't that weird? That's weird. And we've been together since. Got married in 2018, and
Well,
she's a singer
congratulations.
songwriter. Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's see if we can make it work this time. And she's Jesus. And she's
Yeah.
a singer songwriter down here. And I'm retired, so I could be anywhere,
Right.
kind of thing. And so, I like it. I kind of like it down here. Of course, it was here, about a year, and then everything kind of collapsed on us. So I
Yeah.
don't know if I really like, but there's a lot of hiking around here, and it's really pretty
Yeah.
around here. So
Beale
that's good.
Street's
I
fun.
miss Ottawa, though. I'm not going to lie. I miss Ottawa. I miss producing shows up there, and I would
Yeah.
love to figure out a way to come back and do it. I just don't know what it would be. The people over at the Lone Buffalo, that bunch, have talked about, and maybe they've done it, and I just don't know about it, which is possible too. But talked about taking that Woolworth block and putting a theater in the old Carson's building there, and like
Yeah.
that. And I don't know where that is with
I
that.
haven't heard a thing.
Yeah, well, I imagine it would just be
Yeah.
sitting fallow now anyway.
Yeah.
But were they to do that, I would love to come back and produce some
Yeah.
stuff. I think
Well, we're
people
we're
are
in the.
very supportive there. There's an
Oh
incredible
yeah.
talent pool there.
Well,
And
we were in the process of reopening the Follies in a new location that I can't really talk about right now, but it's going to be
not the four
substantially.
table location over
No,
there in
no, no,
Grand Ridge or in Utica there,
no,
no?
Utica. No, much larger space, so you can come back. We'll play you and I can do Grumpy Old Men, and we'll get Howard in.
I think that's what we're doing right now, isn't it?
I think
Sure, we
so.
can do
I
that,
think
of
so. It's
course.
great. Yeah. All right. Now you've been focusing on what you actually started out to do when you were in
Yes.
college,
Took a
and
while to get back to it.
but you did. So you've
Yeah.
been painting
I have been.
and drawing.
I did a lot of stuff even along the way. I did a cartoon for Soap Opera Weekly, I think it was. I wrote
Mhm.
a column for them and did a cartoon. And I never stopped drawing, but I was never a painter. I was always a pen and ink guy.
Okay.
And when I got down here, I thought, well, all right, so you're old and retired now. Why don't you do something that you want to do, that you wanted to do? I thought, well, I've always wanted to learn to paint in watercolor, which is supposedly the most difficult of all the paint mediums. So why not start in watercolor? So took a little class at the Parks District here just to kind of figure out what was what. Looked at a lot of stuff online, of course, which is where everybody can learn everything. And started to paint in watercolor, and as time went on, started to take commissions of people and their
Wow.
dogs. And no,
Well,
I was
tell
not commissioned by John Lennon. No,
John Lennon. Yeah. Who?
Yoko was the one that commissioned me for this. But
Now is this
here's a
somebody?
commission, yeah, of
All
somebody's
right.
granddaughter.
She's beautiful.
She's a beautiful girl, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful girl.
Yeah.
And there's John Callahan, played Edmund Grant. All my children passed away
Oh,
not too
okay.
long ago, so I did one of him.
This is cool. I like this.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just working with shadow, just trying to do some kind of a light and shadow
It's
study.
very reminds me of the style of the 1980s. Remember when everything was real pastel and
Erta.
no, well, a little past.
That's my wife. That's the beautiful
Oh,
Sarah Kane. That's the
okay.
portrait I did of her.
Is she
Yeah,
performing?
not bad, huh? She's
Not bad.
really
You did
that
okay.
pretty.
You know, for an 80-year-old, not bad. Well,
For me being 80 years old, you're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
No, yeah, no, not, yeah. So there's another commission, Girl and Her Dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's our cat. That's one of our cats, Gretch. That's just a Scottish guy. Again, I because I'm, a lot of these things aren't commissions. I just want to work on fabric, or I want to work on like this one. I just wanted to work on, fabric folds and stuff. And so putting a pretty girl in the fabric was not a hard thing to do either.
Yeah,
But but just want to wear it. This is one of my favorites: the alien looking into the visor of the astronaut.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Takes people a while to get what that is, but once they do, they go, "Oh, that's cool." So,
okay, now I see it. Yeah, the reflection of the
yeah.
Earth and the helmet and the alien. Okay.
That's a cat that we rescued here. Yes, I have 2 cats.
They're the best.
That's Ichabod.
Okay.
Another commission, a boy and his dogs.
And
And I think
is that where we started? Is this just one you did? Was that last one you did, or was that also a commission?
No, that was just one I did. That was just one.
It's very cool.
I've probably done, I don't know, 200 paintings in the past year or so. Watercolor, you got to work fast anyway. So, but about ready, I think. I really enjoy it, and I enjoy the challenge of doing things people send me to do. Right. So pretty close to putting a website up and probably taking a lot of those commissions were word of mouth and stuff. But I think I'm going to start actually taking commissions. So I'll let you know. You can help me.
Yeah. Come back on the show and we'll talk all about nothing about soap opera acting, nothing, just acting.
Listen, soap opera acting is the same as any other acting, except you have those things at the end of scenes called tags. And you just look like this for a minute, and they just take 3 seconds if you're doing the same bloody thing, and then they fade. Yeah, horrible.
Is it safe? Sorry, stifling a cough there.
It's nice that vodka looks just like water, isn't it? That makes it good.
Isn't it? It is really handy. I have had people say, "What are you drinking during the show?" It's water, and my ulcers.
Oh, horseshit! It's not water.
You knew me from when I was good at drinking. Yeah, very good. I wasn't a quitter. That's for damn sure. Debbie has a comment for us before I got to run here. Actually, my favorite show with Walt Willey Productions. Oh, I don't know when it came up. I thought she was going to say was. Deb, what was your favorite show? Let me know. Because
she just put the T's up there. Was ... And
well, you know what? I think we were flipping through the pictures and it was probably up there.
Maybe she changed her mind. Maybe she saw a picture and had another favorite show.
That could be because it's her prerogative. She was amazing last
in Mamma Mia
as Tanya.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen that. We were talking about trying to figure out how to get up there.
Yeah, it was a great show. It was great talking to you, Walt.
Great talking to you, Don.
Fun chat. I know.
And Chad, you're hell on a toggle switch. God bless you.
Chad, thank you. You're good. You didn't let the old guys mess around. Well, listen, you can say hi to Deb next week, Walt, because she's on the show.
Yeah, you're having who else you having? Deb Torrey, who else?
I'm having Deb. Well, several of them. Kelly Johnson, Melanie Maskell, Ron McCutcheon, and Mark Nowakowski, and Emily Pytel. And what we're doing is a family reunion. The original group.
Mamma Mia family reunion. Fun.
Mamma Mia. Yeah. So tune in and see us. Don't forget, share the video if you get a chance. And you can look at our other ones. They're all posted here online. We thank you so much again for joining us for another IVCC Living Room Stage live event. We'll be back.
Yeah, Chad, make sure you let me know how to share this thing, because if Don tells me, nobody's ever going to see it. So let me know how to share it, and I'll get it up on my Facebook tomorrow.
You won't be able to. If I explain something, it's going to be in such a.
Let's not kid each other, Don. We shouldn't be explaining this to each other at all. Let's just let Chad
was here last night trying to figure out why we screwed up our printer that had been working fine, and all David did was turn on his computer. So he can solve.
Well, it's not all electronics. It's partly magic. So
I believe that. I believe that. The interwebs is magic.
Very good.
You got a website we can visit now?
Yeah, if you want to. You can just go to my Facebook. Is probably a better thing. Or you can go to waltwilleyworld.com. I usually use that for promotional stuff. But there's a lot of all my children's stuff there. There's some of the I think there's a clip from Gunslingers where I played Wild Bill that was on the American Heroes channel. I don't think we talked about that. And there's some clips from Wild Bill, my one-man stage show.
Right. And, we had the pictures up, but we didn't get a chance to talk about that.
That's because all right.
area, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
De- Sorry, Ron McCutcheon cleared it up for us. She said her favorite show was My Favorite Year, I think.
And then and oddly enough, it wasn't the best attended. I think, people kind of like the old saws there, they kind of like the
Yeah.
evergreen things, and nobody ever heard of it. It bombed on Broadway. It didn't do very well at all
Yeah.
as a musical, and which the reporter for the Times was only too happy to point out in his coverage of this. Which I kind of scratched my head. Well, thanks. That helps us
Yeah.
promote. Good call there.
Yeah.
But I thought it was terrific. I thought Chance was great as Benji. I thought everybody was terrific in it, and it was a big, wonderful, sprawling look at 50s television, and it was maybe
Epic.
the best show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of those epics. Well, again, Walt, thank you so much. Chad's going to take us out of here or kick us off the air, one of the two.
Take us out of here, Chad. Take us out.
Great
See
talking
you
to
later.
you.
Thank you. Nice
We'll
talking
just
to you.
keep talking until he fades us out. So
We're
how's
gonna
Beale
fade.
Street? Yeah, we're going to, hold the pose.